If you're failing at hiring, you're losing money. This year, I went to 7 different conferences and met hundreds of entrepreneurs. In this video, I'm gonna talk about one topic that was discussed the most over all the conferences. I went to e-commerce, I went to digital entrepreneurs conference. All of them were talking about the same pain, is hiring. I'm Alina. I'm a founder of remote recruitment agency Retalent. At Retalent, we are helping companies to hire global talent, mostly from Latin America and Eastern Europe, but now also a little bit in Asia. And in today's video, I'm going to cover one topic that is a pain for many people I know. I feel that this topic is very underappreciated on YouTube, so people don't talk about it that much. So let's talk about hiring and how do you create a right process for yourself and how do you hire the right person. The first step that you do when you start your hiring process is evaluating your needs. Who exactly you need, what kind of responsibilities they are gonna have, where they were working before, so what kind of experience you need. Do you actually need this much experience or you want less? Because very often people put like 3 to 5 years experience, but that actually is already middle seniority, and you will obviously pay more for that when sometimes you need just a couple of years of experience, not that much. This is one of the most important steps. Without understanding who exactly you need, there's gonna be no success in the future, whatever you do, how you filter people. If you are putting in job description that you need the wrong type of person, the whole process will not go well after. The number 2 would be to decide where you want to hire. In this case, I would really recommend you to consider the time zone. So for example, if you are located in the US, I wouldn't go to Asia, because very often, of course, if you have a little bit more budget for it, so people go to Philippines and hire people that have to work at night, and they don't consider that it's actually hard for everyone. Like most of us, 70% of the people in the world are not night owls, and they actually need sleep at night, and over the time their health, their productivity, everything will decrease. So instead, I would recommend to go closer to your time zone and hire in Latin America and developing countries like that, if you are, of course, hiring overseas. The number 3 would be to decide where you are gonna source candidates from. So exactly to think of the platforms that you are gonna choose. So there are many platforms that are like very popular and people recommend them, but in reality, the price and the amount of traffic they have doesn't correlate. So because it might be very expensive, you need to find the ones that are actually in that area where you are gonna search, gonna have a good traffic quality ratio. I feel like that's one of the hardest things to do when you're a small company, because you just go usually to LinkedIn. The problem that people are not considering is that everyone goes to LinkedIn, so the competition is also very high and you need to stand out as a small company, so it's way harder to find some jewels, like some very special people in there. But of course, obviously everyone uses LinkedIn, including recruiters. That's one of the biggest platforms, but additionally I really recommend to go into more local platforms in the area where you're searching. After that, I recommend you to do a market research of the salary, because one thing is for you to understand your budget, but then the budget meets reality, and sometimes it can be way higher, way lower, so you need to adjust. And to do market research, you need to check similar positions into the area where you're searching, into the market where you're searching. And of course, don't forget to put it in your job description. I feel like it's a big mistake just to hide the salary, because candidates need to see what kind of salary range it is, if you have logical expectations for this, and if you can provide a good salary, or it's not something that is not for them. So that's one of the filters as well, but that many people avoid, and sometimes just put no salary and think that is alright, which I really don't recommend to do. Then the next one would be to create a test task. You can already create a test task when you started the search. So you started sourcing people on different platforms, you posted the job, paid for the platforms and so on. Then you can start creating a test task, because otherwise it will take too long for you to understand what exactly you're gonna give. So you first focus on one part, then the second part, and then the third part. So the first one, as I said, would be evaluating needs, then posting and sourcing, and then the third part is creating a test task. Then what about the test task? What it is, basically, people often ask me like, what should I give? I definitely think that the best thing to do for a small company, for maybe a solopreneur when you're hiring the first positions for yourself, but also a company below 50 people, is to take a small portion of the job and give it as a test task. So, for example, when I'm hiring my recruitment team, I do a test interview where they interview me for some test position, and they are an interviewer in this case, and I'm the candidate. So they need to find out what is my actual motivation, what kind of salary do I want. Basically, need to find out everything that they need to find out as a recruiter for this position, and not to forget as well. So this is one of the tasks that I give, but basically, if you have any other position like marketing, has to be a marketing task. For a designer task. So focus on that and not on like giving a random general task. That won't help. After you start the process and you have already first candidates to interview, I really recommend to evaluate the value and culture fit together on the interviews and not just go for hard skills. And of course, you need to create the questions for hard skills as well. It's the same important as soft skills, but people sometimes underestimate it. That's why, for example, in my process of recruitment, we do ourselves this kind of interview where we evaluate soft skills, we check a little bit hard skills, but we can't check them all. And after that already goes more technical interview with the founder. And in the end, I would like to discuss why it is not easy to hire in general, why hiring is not easy. I think one of the biggest reasons is that entrepreneurs don't spend enough time on hiring. So when you go through the process and you see like, okay, I posted a job in different platforms and I got hundreds of candidates, they won't just go into hundreds of candidates. They will just go and check the first 10, and then they're already a little bit exhausted. Then something pops and, like your client needs attention or some issue in the business, and they move the attention. Then they come back, then the candidates are already, so it's not very structural, The candidates might be already finding another job, and it's this kind of like, it's just very hectic. And I feel if you're not expert in it, you didn't read dozens of books. It sounds simple, but you need to really be into it, So I met some people who are really into hiring. They love interviews. That's their unique ability. But usually 90% of entrepreneurs want to focus on their niche, on their business, and not to focus on hiring because they are not HRs and not recruiters and didn't have a specific training on this. So yeah, I think this is the main reason why it is so difficult and why people often don't succeed. That's why, of course, I would recommend to hire an expert, a recruiter from your network or an agency that can take it from you, and you can focus on your business instead of just, interviewing hundreds of people and sourcing and doing something that is not your thing. I feel it's always more profitable for your business to focus on what you are actually the best at. In the end of this video, I would like to share with you our ultimate guide on hiring. It is a 16-page document that we made with our team, and we were working on it for 3 weeks. It wasn't easy, and of course, I really recommend you to go through it, and I'm sure that it will help you in your hiring game. And of course, you hear all the time how people on YouTube are asking to put a like and subscribe, but they do it just because it actually helps, and I will do it right now as well. Please put a like and see you next time.